So I was thinking about the stereotypes that people have of other people, and it often leads to some very negative behaviors, and not in the way that you're thinking about right now. I'm sort of thinking about right now um, that I try to keep myself reasonably physically fit, and I'm always trying to exercise and focusing on just keeping my mind happy and healthy. And what I find interesting is the number of people that would classify me as wasting my time because I exercise and that I'm not serious enough with my career, with what I'm doing, and they sort of, coach me as, or would classify me as a non-serious academic because I actually focus on my health and want well-being. And I find this a really interesting sort of stereotype that we have, that if you were to focus on things that are healthy, inevitably somebody will stereotype that particular behavior, right? So I shouldn't work out as much as I should because that's taking away from my work. Or I shouldn't go on a vacation every year because it's taking away from my work. But then I think about the opposite, right? Like there is a large number of people that don't do that, medicate with exercise and fitness, and they eat unhealthy. They may smoke or whatever, like do those kind of things, and maybe they're um, quite a bit overweight, and then we stereotype them as being too focused on their work. Maybe they are too indulgent and they themselves are somehow problematic, or maybe they are actually the sort of classification of somebody that was ultimately best in class and work, but then we think of them as a not a good parent or whatever, any of these kind of sort of stereotypes that we might have. Or maybe they're unhealthy and they have an extra 60, 70 pounds on them, and we think of them as a good parent because of that, right? Because they have that extra weight, and we think that they're somehow representative of being a good uh, whatever it is, right? And I want to sort of say and point out that first of all, doing healthy things and having healthy habits are very important to human longevity. And if it means, from my point of view, if it means that you have to take a stand on that, and there's a lot of courage to actually do those things repeatedly, um, that I think it's worth the sacrifice, right? And I would never ever say that doing exercise or eating right or whatever, right? I don't eat right. That's probably one thing that I'm not as good at. But um, you know, all of those sort of aspects, we think of them as, or I want to sort of encourage that. I think all of that is very healthy living. And the other thing is to distance yourself from how people are actually thinking about you and what you're doing, and having that courage of just standing up and saying, nuts to this. I'm not going to sort of play by these games, whatever these particular games are, and how I should behave and look like. And I'm just going to be somebody that tries to be healthy for me. And if that means that every once in a while for me, myself, that I need to go and get some exercise because I know that I am, I feel bad. I feel sad. I feel like all of those negative emotions I sort of view myself. I know that it was, um, that it was somewhat scientifically discredited, but I don't like any of the sort of discreditation literature because I think many of that has a lot of problems as well with the sort of origins of what it actually means. But this idea of sort of self-depletion, that we have a certain amount of energy in a given day, and that energy kind of disappears throughout the day. And I think I kind of actually believe that towards the end of the day, I am pretty miserable in terms of my perception of the world, particularly when I'm working, because I find doing research is extremely cognitively taxing for me. Writing, and it's not just any kind of research, but it's just writing. Writing is extremely taxing for me, and I really, really struggle with it. And I write a lot, I do, but I really struggle with that. Right? It's never been something that has ever come easy to me. And I've been writing for a long time now. And the thing is the way that I replenish myself, I get, I actually want to go back and do this. And many days, I would say the majority of the days, I don't want to go back and do it, but I sort of compel and cajole myself in various different ways to go back to the desk, get my butt to the seat, and actually start doing some work again. And the only thing that I know that works repeatedly for a long run, long time, right? It might work temporarily that I can control myself in various different ways, but the only thing that allows me to do that is a suitable enough exercise. And for me, it's actually probably a fair bit of exercise. It's at least an hour a day where I have to exercise in various different ways. And that might be going for minimum going for walks, right? The minimum of doing that kind of stuff. I just was doing some work at my house, um, and I decided to to go for a little quick splash around in the pool. Um, and it just makes me feel so much better, right? It makes me feel like I'm more sane. I can actually do more things, right? Swimming is a very important part of my life, and I do spend a fair chunk of time actually doing that, and it's important to me, right? And if that means that I'm going to be physically fit, that is an important thing. But the sort of side effect, which is such a weird side effect, it's like any sort of thing that you're successful in your life. It's this really weird side effect is that you do get more fit, right? And you get more muscles, all of that kind of stuff, all those sort of positive things from exercising. Um, and then the thing that's the sort of adverse effects is that other people will want to bring you down, and other people will say like, why are you doing that? That's not relevant for your work. It's harmful, blah, blah, all of that kind of nonsense stuff, because ultimately it's a reflection of who they are and what they are doing. And they're just sad with themselves, right? And this will happen in all areas of your work, in all areas of your life, where people will justify how they act and how they behave based on or justify like their life and their life choices by sort of bringing down other people and what those particular things are. And I tend to do the same thing, right? Like I do a lot of things that are like that. I think it's very much human behavior. um, and we need to sort of recognize it as is. So if you're doing something that is positive in your life, and this is sort of long-winded sort of response here. If you're doing something that's positive in your life, no matter what it is, right, and it's uniformly positive in your life because it helps you live life better. And I'm not saying it keeps you more productive in a certain area. That's not what I'm saying at all, right? I could take cocaine to make sure that I'm really productive for a given moment. Um, what I'm saying is that that it's the right choice that allows you to carry on and to live a moderately healthy life where you have minimal vices. I guess some vices are okay, whatever those things are for you. Minimal vices that sort of control your life and take away a uniform negative from your life. Now, you got to remember all things can be good if in a certain way or directed in a different way, or we use things in certain dimensions and things like that, and we just have to um, recognize that these choices are never easy to make. And when you make a choice that you think is healthy for you, so your vice is chewing a pack of gum a day, right? And you think it's healthy for you, and other people are saying you're you're disgusting, right? You know that there's some countries around the world that prohibit chewing gum. Um, if that's your thing that allows you to function, I think it's ultimately good for you, right? Whatever that particular thing is. And we should encourage that. So for me, exercise, I recognize that it is a very important part of my life, but it's a very unusual thing for many people. Um, and I just have to say, I'm okay with accepting the fact that things like that, exercise, my family, my kids, my wife, those are very important things in my life. And I'm okay with being that kind of person that I use those as my coping mechanism to get through the challenges of getting back and getting into sort of productive life, whatever that looks like. All right, take care and have a wonderful day. Bye.